Today we have a great head-to-head battle. We've got the Asics Megablast and the Brooks Hyperion Max 3. We're going to put them head-to-head. We're going to run a mile in each shoe at a comfortable but fast pace, and then we're going to push up towards our threshold so we really get a sense of what it does when we're pushing them towards their limits. Unfortunately, this is what it looks like outside, so we're headed down to the treadmill and we're going to see how it does down there. So today is going to be a battle of weight versus plate. The Asics Megablast is much lighter than the Brooks Hyperion Max 3. The Megablast comes in at a minute 7.7 ounces in a standard men's size 9. The Brooks Hyperion Max 3 comes in at a whopping 10 ounces. Now, one of the big differences is the Brooks Hyperion Max 3 does have a nylon plate, and it runs through the whole shoe here, splits off into a fork. And this is going to be a big benefit for the Hyperion Max 3. Now, one more thing the Megablast has going for it is the FF Turbo Squared. The foam that's in this shoe substantially outperforms the Hyperion Max 3 in terms of its energy return. Will the plate on the Hyperion Max be able to make up for that? So when we're putting force down, the Megablast wants to pop back up. However, with the Hyperion Max 3, when we bend it, you can see exactly how stiff that is. I'm actually legitimately trying to move it, and it's not moving. When we put force into it and bend the plate and it snaps back, will that make up for the lack of plate in the Megablast? So we're going to be on the treadmill, but that is kind of a benefit because it means we get to completely standardize everything. So I'm going to look at heart rate, I'm going to look at stride length, cadence, and a handful of other factors at the end to determine which one I would be using for a workout day. So we're going to warm up in a completely separate shoe. We've actually got the Mount to Coast R1, super neutral, super out of the way kind of shoe. And then we're going to get into mile for mile. We're going to flip a coin heads or tails to see which shoe goes first on each round. So what I'm planning on doing is making sure I can get through this workout in a way that's not going to blow up and mess with any of the data. So it's not going to be the fastest workout I've done in my life. What we're going to do though is we're going to do a mile in each shoe around 8-minute pace. That should be relatively comfortable, but high enough we're able to discern some results if there is any change. We're going to be using the Coros heart rate monitor to make sure we're getting the most accurate data we can. In between each rep, we're going to take 2 to 3 minutes of standing rest. After we get those first 2 miles done, we're going to take another rest, flip a coin, see who goes first for the faster rep. Now, with that said, we're going to take a Celsius down because I love the way it tastes and it's still early enough in the day I can do that. It'll help with the workout, but we're going to go through a full warm up. I'm going to bike for about 15 minutes. We'll do dynamic stretching in here, and then we'll do our first mile in the Mount to Coast R1. So we're making things as fair as we can. I want to get to a steady state in the R1s first. I don't want to have this unfair comparison where the first shoe has a lower heart rate just because I haven't done anything yet. So with that said, I'm going to build up my pace. I'm going to end about the half mile around 8-minute pace so my heart rate gets plenty high and we find that steady state. Then we'll flip the coin and see which shoe's going first, get into it, and then hop on about 2 minutes after we finish that first mile. With that said, we're going to go ahead and crack this and get into the warm-up. Last sip of the Celsius, it was a banger. Again, mango lemonade, give it a try. All right, we're going into it. We're starting off real easy. All right, so that first quarter mile's done. On this next one, we're bumping the pace down just a little bit. You know, we're still warming up into it, but I want to get core temperature up and I want to get into a little bit of a rhythm. When the next half mile comes around, we'll drop it down to 8-minute pace. That'll give us 4 minutes there. Plenty of time for our heart rate to settle in at that pace. We'll get the shoes on. We've decided 2.5 minutes between each mile should be plenty of time to let the heart rate come down without really taking too much time away from the treadmill. Heads or tails? Asics Megablast heads, Brooks tails. Heads, that means Asics Megablast goes first. We're currently 1 minute and 4 seconds into our rest period here. So we got 1.5 minutes until the first run. Knee's still bugging a little bit, and this is the fastest we will have been running. So we're putting the knee sleeve on. Fingers crossed nothing too crazy happens. We're 1 minute and 51 in. So we need to get up and get ready. 2 minutes and 28 seconds in. As soon as this gets up to speed, we're starting the first rep. Right at 8 flat pace. Starting heart rate is 144. And sounds like we're about up to pace. Here we go. Quarter mile in, heart rate's 176. Mile and a half in, we're at 181. 3/4 of a mile in, and we're hanging out at 182, 183. So, seems like we've really locked into that pace. Honestly, heart rate doesn't feel quite as high as it's saying on here, but I'm sure it's not lying. Just like that, 2 miles. All right, so we're a mile in. Heart rate definitely got higher on that than I expected. I don't really feel like it should have been quite 186. So we'll see if we have to modify the second part. 2.5 minutes should be plenty of time to lower the heart rate and settle into this next mile right at 8-minute pace. Like I said in the first run review for the Megablast, I was hoping there would be some sort of break-in period where it softens up over time. And I think it's starting to happen. So this is the 4th time I've run in these, and it does feel incredibly lightweight, but now it feels like we're getting some bounce out of it. Being a little quicker here, I think probably helps that out a little bit as well. We're 1 minute and 38 in to the rest. Getting the Hyperion Maxes laced up and ready to go. With 2 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and get this started back up. And then I think we're warm enough, we don't need this anymore. We're at 226, so it's time to get rolling. We are at 141 at the heart rate at the start of this, so we recovered decently from that first set to the second. Quarter mile in, heart rate is 180. 2.5 miles in, we're at 182. But we're feeling pretty comfortable still. 3/4 in, we're up at 187. Quarter mile left on this. All right, 3 miles, 187. Now we're gonna decide if we stay in the Hyperion Max or switch to Megablast. Asics heads, Brooks tails. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Tails never fails, staying in the Brooks. I don't think we're going to be able to bump the pace as much as I expected. Obviously 187, either these are heavy and hurting me, or pace is too fast. 183 from the Megablast felt like it was a little bit easier, but we're going to bump it to 745 pace and see between the two if there's any difference. $118 rest. We're going to tighten up just a little bit on these. Sock upper is really nice on these, by the way. They padded this really nicely, so it's very comfortable to run in. Minute and 42. We're going to get this up to pace. 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Starting at 130 heart rate. Quarter mile in, we're at 179. Half mile in, we are at 185. Cruising along. 3/4 of a mile, we're at 190. That is 4 miles, 190 heart rate. Megablast time. I did notice this cutout's pretty noticeable. I feel like I was getting just a little bit of excess pronation with that big cutout. But overall, felt good. Super curious where the Megablast lands us. Currently, it's in the lead. So heart rate on the first one was lower in the Megablast. All right, with that, we got 1 minute and 23 down, so we got about a minute to go. So my hope here is I'll have the feeling like I've got 1, maybe 2 reps left in the tank after this. I know heart rate is really high, but I just tend to have a pretty high heart rate. Super curious if we stay under 190 on the Megablast for an average here. We got about 20 seconds. All right, it's about that time. Here we go. 135 heart rate to start. I'll tell you, these feel bouncier. Going out of the Hyperion Max into these, I feel more pump. Also feels a little lighter weight. So curious what this heart rate's gonna do. Quarter mile, we're at 180. Half a mile in, we're at 187. 400 meters to go, we're at 188. Alrighty. Ended at 190 for our last mile. Well, that's pretty frustrating. It seems like this camera died. We did have the other two, hopefully still rolling. We did just finish it up. I have a feeling the Megablast maybe was a little lower on that heart rate, even though I think it was at a bit of a disadvantage being the second one to go on that last set. I do feel like I had maybe another 2 reps in the tank if I really had to. Definitely 1 more in either one of the shoes. So I don't feel like we maxed all the way out, which is peachy. That's what we were going for. That is why I pulled back on the second 2 miles. Instead of trying to go really, really fast, I'd rather have like a more useful data set. I'm glad that the heart rate showed that we were higher on the second 2 because we were obviously working harder. We're going to go analyze the data now. Now, both shoes felt awesome. They were both really, really good. I don't think you would be able to go wrong between the two, but I'm curious if my heart rate suggests one over the other being a little more efficient, because we're always trying to optimize. So we're gonna probably go take a shower, dry off, and then see if we can't get a little bit more into these. All right, so we are done with the run. We're gonna go ahead and hop straight into the Coros app and take a look at all the data that we can from this run and see if there are any takeaways we can take from the Megablast versus the Hyperion Max and just see which one might be a better option for you. All right, so here we can see the mile by mile breakdown. So coming over here and looking at the heart rate data first, in the Megablast, we have our 8-minute pace and our 7:45 paced reps. Those two heart rates are going to average out right to 178. And then the Hyperion Max 3 also averages out to exactly 178. I think this is actually incredibly interesting and quite telling because the two shoes are both so good at what they do. They're both so similar with the results that they're delivering here. So we can look at average cadence. That's super similar at the 8-minute pace reps, and it's also super similar at the 7:45 paced reps. So nothing really big here. Same thing with the average stride length being 149 versus 146, and average stride length at the slower pace being 433 and 4.3 feet. Looking at the heart rate graphs here, nothing super crazy is jumping out. So this is the Megablast here and here. Follows a pretty similar pattern. We hop on, it increases throughout. Same thing over here, starts low, jumps up pretty quick. So I think the data is really clean. The same thing is happening each time, and we're seeing what we're supposed to. We should see this little bit of a jump at the start, and then we're going to slowly increase because I was clearly above threshold, which is a thing we're going to have to fix. 8-minute pace should not be threshold for me, but it is right now, and that's okay. We're going to fix it. So similar looking graphs here. Overall, same averages for the heart rate. I know we're getting clean data having the heart rate monitor. So overall, I'm not mad at it, actually. I think it's such an interesting look for these shoes. I'm actually going to back us out here. So the reason I was actually interested in doing this specific style was I had these two workouts. One of them was in the Megablast and the other one was in the Nike Vomero. So these two workouts, I did 5 miles, but all of this at the same pace. My average heart rate for the whole thing was 168 beats per minute at an average of 951 pace. And then in this other workout over here, I was in the Megablast for this one, and my heart rate was so much lower. So I love the Vomero 18, and that feels like it's a pretty big gap, 11 beats per minute on the same exact pace, and the other one was half a mile longer. Man, I think that really goes to show, at least in part, how much a shoe can affect your workout. So that's why it's important to choose the right kind of shoe. And that's kind of my takeaway with this is, as I was running, it felt like the Megablast might have been a little bit better, but the numbers here I think are really strongly indicating that these two shoes both absolutely deserve to be in the conversation and will probably do really well for any kind of tempo or up pace sessions that you might have. As I said, the Megablast broke in phenomenally. After this run we just did here, I'm around 20 miles on it, and man, it feels so much better now than it did in the first couple of miles. So if that's on your radar, certainly worth a try. If you want that more aggressive pop feel, I think the Hyperion Max 3, if you're going a faster pace, I think could serve you a little better. Being able to go head to head so closely, I don't know if there's like a huge conclusion I'm drawing about one shoe being better than the other. So weight versus plate, I don't think that one of those is going to be the right answer for any specific individual out there. They're both incredibly efficient shoes, and I would be happy to recommend either of them to anyone out there. I like the fit in the upper a little bit more on the Hyperion Max 3. I love how lightweight it is on the Megablast, but they're both super good. I'm excited to keep putting miles in them and seeing how they feel throughout all sorts of different training runs. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I think one of the few things that the Megablast really does take the cake on is being a really stable platform. So the last of the shoe, how wide it is, I think really gives it an advantage in terms of stability. So for people who are thinking like half marathon or full marathon distance in this shoe, I think you could be really well served with the Megablast having that wider base. I'll have a picture up here somewhere if I can to show you what I mean, but that is one of the biggest differentiators between the two. I felt like I wasn't quite as stable with the Hyperion Max 3 as the Megablast. But again, I do feel like with the Hyperion Max 3, that plate was just so rigid. It feels like it gives you so much pulse out of it. I think you could run potentially faster in it. And now to have both of those shoes, the Megablast and the Hyperion Max 3, going head to head and coming out so similarly, I think it goes to show just, what level those two shoes are at in terms of how fast they go and how efficient they can be. So I was actually hoping for the data to be a little more disparate so that I could have a stronger conclusion to draw. But as I was running and going back and forth between them, it felt like they were both banging good shoes, and I think you can't go wrong choosing between the two of them. So give the shoes a shot if you're interested in one or the other. If you have more specific questions, I'm happy to answer about either of them. Let me know in the comments if you do have any questions. Now, as we approach race season, we're getting through the winter grind right now. Take a look at my video here. It's going to be going over all of the race tips and strategies leading into race week, and then on the day of the race, it let me set a new personal best, and I think it'll help you do the same. I bet there's a thing or two out of it, and I bet there's some stuff that you haven't thought about before, at least timing wise. So go check that video out. It will help you with your next race. With that said, I will see you in that next video now. Bye.